Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey with your host, Dave Westcott. The Entrepreneurial Journey is a weekly podcast that streams live every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on Dave's YouTube channel and LinkedIn profile. Now here's Dave with this week's episode.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm Dave Westcott, CEO of Evergreen Brands, and I just want to take a minute and thank our sponsors, Western Snowplows. You know, Western, what a great product to have on your truck or on your loader. We exclusively use the Western products. We love the Western products, but I love the reliability. I love that when I buy a piece of equipment, I know that that piece of equipment is going to go on my truck, or it's going to go on my skid steer, it's going on my loader, and I know that it's going to be a reliable piece of equipment. And I know that if anything happens to that piece of equipment, I've got an amazing team back at Western who's going to FedEx me parts, get me things that I need to keep my crews up and running during the worst winter storms. Western Snow and Ice Equipment has been in business for over 70 years, and they are snow and ice control experts in this industry that we all so love. So I just love that they're able to put plows on work trucks, loaders, tractors, UTVs. I love that they focus on maximizing productivity and efficiency for commercial contractors. I love the slogan, more jobs, done faster. And I think that's what it's all about. The more efficiency that we have in the snow business, the more efficiency we have on site, the more money we make. The more money we make, the more profitable we are. The more profitable we are, the happier we are, and the more we can pay our teams, the more we can take care of our people, the more we can grow our business. I think Western is a backbone to critically enable us to grow faster, grow more efficiently, and give our clients that incredible customer experience. So that's why I back Western. I love Western, and that's why we use Western on our equipment. So if you're looking at taking your snow game to the next level, check out Western. It's absolutely incredible equipment. We stand behind it 1,000%. Today's topic is really important, and talking about Western, today's topic is one of those things that every CEO needs to know. And oftentimes, I get asked, what is a job description of an owner? What do I do as the owner? What should my job be focused on? And I love that. And to tie that back to Western, like I was saying just a second ago, one of the things that I love is you want the best for your business. So as a CEO, I want the best for my business. That means I don't want to use a substandard product. And when I'm using a substandard product, or I buy a cheaper product and I put that on my trucks and my vehicles, what happens? I have breakdowns, I have failures, and I can't service my client. If I have breakdowns and I can't service my client, who ultimately is the one who pays the price? I do. So if I buy a cheaper equipment by $1,000, but I know it's inferior in quality, and that cost me a client that's worth $100,000, was it worth it? So as a CEO, what kind of decisions are we making? What kind of, progress are we making in our business? And as CEO, we want to make sure that we only partner with the best. We only partner in world class. And that ties me right into the first thing that a CEO has to do. And I'm gonna break down the job description of a CEO today. What I think a CEO needs to focus on day in and day out. This is your job responsibilities. I'm gonna be honest with you. You're never gonna go see me digging a hole in the mud. That's not gonna happen, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get my hands dirty like that. At the end of the day, I'm probably not going to go wash my car. I'm probably not going to mow my lawn. I know how valuable my time is. And my time, if I'm running an organization, and let's just say an organization worth $10 million, if the organization is worth $10 million and my time is worth $5,000 an hour. So would you pay somebody $5,000 an hour to dig a hole? Or to mow their lawn, or to wash a car? No, you absolutely wouldn't. And so what we're going to talk about is what are these roles and responsibilities of that owner, of that founder, of that CEO. And so we want to be very crystal clear on this. But I believe just in line with what we talk about here, like the right equipment, the right suppliers, the right vendors, the right partners, we got to put the right people in the right seats. And this is so important. And so often in business, the number one thing that, we are going to talk about with right people, right seats is, hire the best. Don't just hire anybody. Just don't fill the spots with warm bodies. And the other truth to that is know that the people who got you where you are may not be the people who take you where you need to go. And that's a really hard thing for founders and owners to understand and work with. And just because someone worked hard and they sacrificed and they helped you get there, they may not be the person who's going to get you to the next level. They may not have the skill set. They may not have the capacity. And that's a really tough thing, because as a founder and owner, you make relationships, you make friends with people, but you've got to know, like, if you're going to go to the next level, then you're going to have to make changes. And in my business, 20 years I've been doing this now, I've had 5 leadership teams. And each leadership team, like, has this belief or this thought, like, that they're the leadership team and they're responsible for everything that happens and the growth and the success or the failures. But the truth of the matter is, there was 4 other leadership teams that came before them. There was 4 other leadership teams that brought us, from being a lawn maintenance company to being a construction company to, having 30 trucks and 115 guys on the road. There was many iterations of the business that had leadership teams of people that helped us to get where we are today. And so it's your job as the CEO to put the right people in the right seats. It's also your job as the CEO to know when to move those people out of the seats. And that's the toughest thing about being in leadership. That's the toughest thing in these roles, right? And so just like, when you start out, you can't afford the best equipment for snow removal. You can't afford the best. So you put the cheaper stuff on. I remember that, early on in my snow career, I bought 11 snow plows, and they were like $1,200 a piece. And they were wobbly, and they were made out of some kind of thin aluminum, and, they barely did the job. And I still made a bunch of money with them, and they still worked, and I still serviced all of my clients. But they would get bent in half, and they would break, and they would fall apart. And I would have a crew weld them and put them back together and all of that sort of stuff. And then I was like, I'm buying this Western equipment, and I'm putting this Western equipment. I don't have any breakdowns. I'm not re-welding plows back together. My plows are hydraulic. They turn right to left. So there's different iterations of the company, just like there's different iterations of your leadership team, your equipment. As you grow, you're going to level up. But my advice to you is hire the very best you can where you're at. Don't settle for second best. Don't settle for number 2. Get the best people. When you're looking at project managers, it's one of, just as a good example, but if you're saying, hey, I want to pay my project managers $65,000, $75,000 a year, honestly, you're not going to get an amazing project manager for that. You might get an amazing, hardworking individual who cares about your business, but that project manager is not going to have the skill set to deliver the expectation that you have to your client. They just don't have the expertise. And so if that project manager is 100, 110, 115, 125, if they really have that skill set, they're going to know what they're worth. You're going to pay more. But what I find is that $65,000 to $75,000 project manager, they're going to do 80% of the jobs okay. They're going to have some problems. They're going to have some issues. You might get terminated from a few jobs because, their skill set is lower. So if you think about that, if you understand what your average job size was, so if you said, hey, my average job size, is $30,000, and, we got terminated from 10 jobs over the course of a year because, our project manager didn't have the exact skill set that we needed. And we looked at that and we said, okay, well, if 10 jobs got terminated and the average job size was $30,000, we know that cost us $300,000. And if you know that your profit margin is, let's just say your gross margin on the job is 50%, I don't know what it is, but I'm just making it up. If it's 50%, then that means 150K was lost. And if you said, hey, listen, I'm going to hire this project manager, Peter, who's $125,000 a year, and I'm going to spend, $50,000 more on him than I was on the other guy, then I made $100,000 more in profit at the end of the year by having a great project manager. And you can use that analogy in any role that you have. But people are what take your business where you need to go. Without great people, the business is never going to get where you want it to go. You're always going to have failures and misses, and you're going to wonder, why are we not getting this? Why are we not getting this put together? Why is this not as successful as I want it to be? And it's because we're just choosing the wrong people for the seats. So we want to hire the best. We want to, I'm not saying we want to pay the most every time, but we want to understand that, cost and value, they come at a cost. And that's really important for us to understand along this process. So one of your jobs as CEO is to have the right people in the right seats. It's to make the tough decisions. It's to make the hard decisions for your business. Number 2 is you got to have the cash. CEOs got to bring cash to the table. You got to make sure that your business does not run out of money. That's your responsibility. That's your job. If you run out of cash, then you need to get funding. You need to get a bank loan. You need to get credit. You need to utilize credit. But you also need to protect your credit. You don't want to blow it up and destroy it, right? So you need to be very conscious of your credit. When you start your business or you get rolling, you have that cash laid out that you need, but you should also start preparing. Get a line of credit in advance, because you are going to run into a moment where you have to use it. Something's going to go sideways. Something's going to break. Make investments outside of the business. Always be investing. A perfect analogy is like, if I want to go to lunch during the day, should I be going to the local fast food restaurant? Absolutely not. Let me just tell you a little story. I went to Jack in the Box the other day. And why did I go to Jack in the Box? Because it was really late at night, and we hadn't eaten dinner, and we were on a road trip, and there was nowhere to stop, and the kids were starving, and we were like, okay, man, let's pull into the Jack in the Box. We pull into the Jack in the Box, and the Bacon Ultimate Cheeseburger, this is my favorite meal from being a teenager. I love this little Bacon Ultimate Cheeseburger. And I look at the Bacon Ultimate Cheeseburger meal, man, and it's $11. And I'm like, what? $11? And if you were to supersize that thing with tax, it's $15. At the end of the day, do you think that it's fiscally responsible to spend $15 at lunch every day? Because I went to Teriyaki one day, it was $19. I was blown away. Or is it better to make that sandwich at home and spend $1.25 on your lunch? I just use that as an example because the way that we spend money, the way that we utilize that money is absolutely critical to our success. So in business, how are we hedging? Just because you have the business, what are you investing in? Are you investing in stocks and bonds? Are you investing in real estate? If something comes up in your business, are you able to pull assets or money from another place to keep your business going if something catastrophic happens? So you want to have wise investments that allow you to gain cash. And foolish spending is going to Jack in the Box every day or going out to eat every day. That's just throwing money away. So look at your business and see how many areas are you throwing money away? How many areas are you spending where you could cut and you could save? So be in control of your cash. Understand your cash. Know where your cash is at. It's your job to bring that cash to the table, right? You got to absolutely be focused on what that cash looks like. It's vision. Your job is to cast vision to the team, right? For lack of vision, we shall perish. If we do not know where we're going, if we do not know where we're headed, if we do not know what path we're on, we're going to be all over the place. So we cast the vision. And how do we do that? We have core values established that guide our path like a compass. We have a mission that says this is the direction that we are going. This is what's important to our business. This is what's important to the people who work in this business. This is how we're going to grow. So we've got to cast that vision. And we share that vision frequently and often. In all of our interactions, we're sharing that vision. We lay it out. What does it look like? what does 1 year look like for us? What does 3 years look like for us? What does 5 years look like for us? What does 10 years look like for us? And we start to lay those mile markers out on the road, and now people say, okay, I can get behind this. This is where we're going to be in 5 years. Wow, I like that. This is what I'm going to earn in 5 years. That's really exciting for me. I like that. And so what we're able to do by casting vision is bring amazing team members on. Like we talked about, right people in right seats as one of the responsibilities of the CEO. Well, at the end of the day, right people, right seats happen when we have good vision. And then we have right people, right seats when we have good cash flow. Like you might be in a position saying, I can't afford the best people right now. And my response is, you can't not afford those people. Just because they may have a higher salary doesn't mean that you pay that salary up front. Right? You're paying that on a bi-weekly or monthly basis based on how your business is set up. So you're not investing all of that up front. So you got to put the plan in place. You got to let it work. You got to cast that vision. If you don't have incredible vision, how are you going to get incredible people? So focus on that vision. As a CEO, as an owner, as a founder, one of the things that I find that CEOs and founders, they want to hand off the problems right away. Like they want to hand off the painful things. And one of those things is clients. And every time there's a client, they don't want to deal with it. They want to bury their head in the sand. They want to pass it down. But what you got to know is that there is key clients. Like not all clients are created equally. And even though it's tough, and even though sometimes it's hard to get on those calls, the CEO, the founder, the owner, like you're responsible for those key relationships. You're responsible for the big deals. Like, because it's your passion, it's your drive, it's your expertise that they're buying. If you sign a Fortune 500 client to the table and then you pass them off to your second in command or your third in command, those are great people, but those are still just employees. And those employees have lives outside of the business. And you don't have a life outside of the business because your life is the business. And those employees will eventually go away. That's just the truth of being in business. Over 20 years, I've had thousands of people. That's not an exaggeration work for me. I was looking back at a list the other day of people who worked for me last year and people who work for me this year. It's completely different. And so you want to hold your key relationships tight. And it might be a key relationship with a company like Costco. Like you might have this great relationship with them. You want to own that. You want to own that relationship. You don't want to put that in the hands of somebody else. You might have an amazing supplier like Western Snowplows that you want to retain and you want to keep and you want to build. And so you might own that relationship with the Western team because it's important to your business. It's important to growing your business. They deliver an amazing product. You want to continue to have that product. You don't want that relationship tarnished. You might have a key subcontractor who is very valuable to your business, who takes care of a major portion or a major area. Take care of him, right? I was doing some work with a guy, and I was a very large subcontractor for him and his business. Did massive work for many, many years. And, I said, hey, man, let's meet. Let's have lunch. I'm coming down to your area. And never had the time. Never had the time. I wasn't valued as a subcontractor. It was only what was in it for him, right? Only what he wanted. And relationship is a two-way street. So your vendor partners, like your subcontractors, these are people that it's very important to build relationships and friendships with. Because at the end of the day, they're going to outlast the length of time that your staff and your team is with you. So it's absolutely critical that you maintain those relationships. Key relationships that are important to the business, you have to make sure that they are nurtured and they are grown. So you got to focus there. You don't want to lose track on what that looks like for your business. Continuously learning, right? As a CEO, as an owner, you've got to be continuously looking at the future. You've got to be continuously looking at how you're learning. You've got to continuously look how you're growing. And I think that this is really, really an important thing for any leader to do. And one of the reasons why it is so important, one of the reasons why it is so critical, is because if you're not continuing to grow, neither is your business. Like the CEO and owner that I was when I started my business 20 years ago, I didn't even like to call myself CEO. I didn't even like to call myself owner. I was like, they're going to know that I'm the owner. I was insecure about who I was as a leader. And that leader was far more different. Like if something went wrong in my shop, like I might break something, I had to learn, okay, you can't act like that, man. You have to be a little bit controlled here from time to time. And like we learn as leaders, and what I learned was that I need to start investing in myself. And it took me probably 10 years to learn this. That there were other people out there who were smarter than I was. What a concept. Somebody's done it better. But what I found was that every year, my goal would be to take 1 week out of my business. It doesn't mean I'm not checking emails and responding, but go somewhere and learn. And on this learning journey, I've done way more than 1 week. Like I joined Entrepreneur's organization, EO, where I meet every other month with a group of leaders that help me level up. I do continued education through EO. I've been through Harvard Business School. I've done a Navy SEAL training program. Like there's been some, amazing things that I've accomplished to help me level up. Along every one of those journeys, whether it be an intensive 2-week LinkedIn training class or, a 6-month cohort on leadership or whatever it might be, every single one of those things has helped change me as a leader. Every single one of those things has brought new nuggets and new ideas and new things to the forefront that I didn't have before. And they've expanded my mindset, but it's also expanded my associations. Like along this journey, I've got to know incredible people. I've got to know incredible people that I would never have been able to meet had I not been invested in making myself better. Excuse me. So along this journey, what we're really focused on is how do I make myself better? Well, what I learned from Harvard Business School was they have some amazing tips and some amazing tricks and some amazing case studies, right? Many, many case studies have gone through. And what I learned was, wow, they just taught me about every single mistake that I made in the first 10 years of my business. And I was like, geez, man, some of those lessons cost me millions of dollars in mistakes. Had I had that education and that learning before I started my business, I would have been on a much better path because I would have been more wise to the things that were coming down the path. But at that time, would I have had the wisdom to know how critical these things were for my entrepreneurial journey, for my path? Would I have been able to even recognize it? And that's part of what time brings you. That's part of what experience brings you. It brings you the value of the lesson. But you can recognize the lessons as you go down your path. So if you continue to level up, if you continue to grow, if you continue to invest in yourself, you get smarter, you get wiser, and you start to be able to apply experience with knowledge, experience with learning, and it makes you that much more dynamic of a leader. How do you take a week out of your business? I can't imagine not taking a week out of your business to continue to learn. Like in the NFL, like they're going to play one game on Sunday or Thursday or Saturday or Monday night. Now that they play games all the time, they're going to play one game a week. We can pretty much put it like that. But on those off days, what are they doing? They're watching film, they're training, they're running plays, they're practicing, they're getting better. In business, how often are you getting better? How often are you training and practicing to make yourself the very best version of who you are for your clients, customers, vendors, suppliers, employees, so on and so forth? So it's absolutely critical that you continue leveling up and continuing to make yourself smarter as a CEO, as an owner, as a founder. Company culture. This is absolutely critical to the business. You've got to be invested in your culture. You've got to be invested in your people. It all starts with you. It starts with how you act. You know, I heard a guy tell a story about his business, and he's, got this nice sized construction company, and they have a big party, and he goes out and he buys a bunch of booze, and he puts a bunch of booze on the table, and they have their party at his house, and everybody gets drunk, and he falls down, cuts his face. And, then a couple weeks later, some of his guys are out at a client meeting, and they go out and they get hammered, and they are having problems, and he's like, "Why are my people doing this?" And the guy's wife tells him, "Well, it's the example that you set. You said at our company it's okay to get smashed and wasted and act crazy and get kicked out of hotel rooms and have all these problems." And he's like, "Dang it, that's the culture that I created." So the culture that you create, how you treat people, how you act, this is going to pay dividends in your business. And so build the culture that you want. Build your own brand of crazy. What do you believe in? What are you passionate about? Those are the things that you should put to the forefront because it's your business. Who cares, to be honest, if they stay or go? If you're not happy with what you're creating, it's your investment. It's your money. It's your risk. You're the one who takes all the financial risk at the end of the day. Your team, they'll go get a job somewhere if they don't like it. That's okay. But build your brand of crazy. And what you'll find is that you'll have people that come alongside you and that feel the same way and act the same way and believe the same things. And you'll have an amazing relationship with people who are like-minded. And that's an amazing way to build a business. So focus on that culture. Drive that company culture home and own that. One of the things that I do is I try to go out to lunch once a week with somebody from the company. I won't say that I'm perfect at it, but I try once a week on Thursdays to have that lunch meeting. I get to know people from the top guy to the bottom guy. Just try to get to know everybody in order. How are you doing? How many kids do you have? What do you like to do? So on and so forth. And so it's a really, really good thing. Know your numbers. A CEO's got to know your numbers. You got to know your financials. Right? If you don't know how much money you have in the bank, if you don't know what your close rate is, if you don't know what your P&L says, what your gross margin is, if you don't know what your net profit is, if you don't know these numbers, how much is in your collections, how much is in your AR, if you're not reviewing your P&L and your balance sheet, you're lost. Your financials are the roadmap to success. You got to be in your numbers. You got to look at your numbers every single week. You need a cash flow report every single week. Where is our cash flow? When do we pay our bills? Do we pay our bills as soon as they come in the mail, or do we pay them a couple of days before they're due? Well, we want to pay them a couple of days from their due so that we keep the money in the bank for as long as possible. The longer we keep the money in the bank, the more the money helps our cash flow. The more interest is earned on the money that we have in the bank. Why do you think companies have 60 and 120-day payment terms? Why do big corporations have that? So they can keep the money in there as long as possible. The longer they keep it in, the more money they make on the money that they have in the bank. So know your numbers. You got to understand where you are at from that perspective. The systems. You got to know the systems of your business. absolutely critical, absolutely fundamental. You have to know the numbers. If you don't know your systems in your business, if you don't know the numbers in your business, you're going to be in problem. How many people go in and say, well, I'm not sure what the operations team does. I'm not sure what the financial team does. I'm not sure how our team is operating. If you don't know the processes, if you're not drastically involved in that part of the business, you're making a mistake. So get in there, know your SOPs, know them from top to bottom. The person who understands the Bible of business is you. Understand how the sales process works. What is the workflow? How does it flow inside and out? Be involved in your business. It doesn't mean you have to be involved in every meeting. It doesn't mean you have to be involved in every facet, but you got to be involved in how the systems and processes work, because 90% of it's going to come out of your head anyways in the beginning. How did you see this thing? How did you put it together? What's your secret sauce? Why do I go to Wendy's instead of McDonald's, or vice versa? So you got to understand the processes. And then big decisions. Listen, be secure as the owner. Be secure in your feelings. Make the big decisions. Go forward. Don't put them on somebody else. Don't let somebody else make big decisions for you. Like, it's your life on the line, man. You man up. You take responsibility for what you have. You take responsibility for what you need to get done. You take ownership of the big stuff. You know, this is one of the reasons why I don't believe in mentors, because I believe that people go to a mentor and they phrase a certain situation the way that they want to for the pro or the con, and then they ask a mentor how to deal with the particular situation, and the mentor gives them advice based on how they phrased or framed the question. And all they're doing is really looking for validation for what they should have just made the decision on anyways. So, like I like to say, cowboy up, man up, woman up, whatever. Make the decision, take ownership of it, think it through, get input and advice from those closest to you, and make the decision that drives your business forward. These are the key responsibilities of the CEO. This is your job description. These are the things that you work on every day. Vision, cash, right people, key relationships, continuously learning, company culture, financials, systems and processes, and big decisions. This is you. That's what you're responsible for. Everybody else is responsible for everything else. This is what sits on your table. Listen, if this was helpful, if you enjoyed this, give it a like, give it a share, give it a follow. I'll be back next week, 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I love what we talk about here on the Entrepreneurial Journey. I love the team that puts this together. We're doing a great job. Thank you, team, for putting this together. And I'm so thankful for our sponsor, Western Snowplows. Western is, top of the line equipment. I love to see that big red plow. I love to see those V plows, that MP3 out there on our trucks. I love to see the pile driver out there on our skid steers and loaders pushing snow. This equipment is durable, it's strong, it lasts, it works hard, and you know what? It's what we trust on our equipment. And we're going to make millions and millions of dollars in the snow, and one of those reasons is because we're going to use the absolute best equipment. So if you want to take your business to the next level, if you want to have the best equipment on your the best equipment on your trucks, the best equipment on your equipment, then what you want to have is that incredible Western product. So check out Western, get a local dealer, and put that equipment on your vehicle, on your truck, because it's going to pay dividends in the long run. Thank you very much. Join us next week as we will be back with another incredible topic. Thank you so much. I'm Dave Westcott, CEO of Evergreen Brands.